facts, I'm known to keep it real. I ain't worried about your feelings when I'm in the field. They be watching what I do from my highlight reel. I'm just running to the paper, fuck how you feel. If you looking for the truth, then I'm the real deal. If you looking for the truth, then I'm the real deal. Shout out to the crew and they get real. Find me with the crew, nigga, real.
What is up, everybody? Another week of RDL, finishing up with week 5. We had some excellent games, a lot of points being put up from teams that we didn't really expect too much. But let's start off real quickly. Introduction. I'm here with both of my co-hosts here, Mr. Bruce.
What's good?
And Mr. Trav.
What's going on, gang?
And it's me, it's Feebz, man. Welcome to the RDL podcast. Fellas, a good week. We're going over week 5. Our agenda today, we'll be going over week 5. Some injuries, some big injuries that Trav's going to let us know about. Waiver wire claims, and then we'll go over the Thursday Night Football, let you know what to look forward to, fantasy value there. So, getting right into it, let's start with this 9 o'clock game in London, Jacksonville versus Buffalo. Wow. Travis Etienne, 136 yard, 2 touchdowns, putting up 36.4 points in PPR formats against a good Buffalo team. I'll start it off real quick here and say this, that not giving anything away against the Dolphins and their running back core. They have a really good running back room there with the young man Achan, but he ran all over them as well. So It looks like Buffalo is really lacking on that defensive front there. They're more in the secondaries because they did lock down Tyreek Hill that week. But tough game. ETN putting up the points. What do you guys see this game? How are you feeling about the fantasy value here? A lot of fantasy value.
I mean, that's the main reason I picked them for as a factor this week, because they were giving up 100, almost what they gave up to probably like a whole offense. They gave up to ETN by itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Like last week against Miami, that 150. I think they gave up like 150, and I think they almost gave up, I think, 250 yards passing and rushing to the running back position, and they basically gave it to one guy this week.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And that's why I picked him as a factor. And I knew that he'll have the game that he had.
You know so much. You got a crystal ball over there or something?
Nah, man, just the Bills. That Bills offense is the defense. Their Russian defense, I would say.
Yeah, no, that was an excellent factor. How you feel about it, Trav?
Yeah, 36.40 points in PPR formats, good enough for RB1 on the week against Buffalo. Team was able to sneak out a good tough win against the Bills, but 26 carries is awesome for Travis Etienne. Like in a game where they were just trying to put it away, keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. The game script was perfect, right? So 26 carries for Etienne, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. He had that one touchdown that kind of sealed the game where he ducked underneath the O-line and the D-line and just took off the left side. That play was crazy. But then also the 5 targets, which is great too. He's had 5 targets 3 times this season. Caught 4 of them against the Bills for 48 yards. So Travis Etienne's usage is through the roof right now. Good enough for RB1 in week 5, like we said, and RB4 overall now through 5 weeks of fantasy football and PPR formats.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing great. Once again, like Bruce says, that was a good pick in the factor area because Buffalo has been giving that up to good running backs. They're not no-name running backs, to good running backs.
No. I mean, if your running back is facing the Bills, you should feel comfortable playing your running back. Is basically what we're getting at here.
Right.
Your points are going to come in. That's probably going to be a big boom game for your running back if you got a good RB1 playing against them, especially one that could catch, because their defense is non-existent to the running back position.
And now that defense lost Matt Milano too, their heat-seeking missile linebacker. So running backs.
So the passing game might even open up too. Because that was like that was their lead rusher, wasn't it? That was their lead pass rusher. Like,
the lead linebacker, like he's just their best. He's the focal point of their defense, you know.
Like,
So
he's their captain, right?
Yeah. Losing him is a big hit for that defense.
No, that dude's nasty. I love that. I like that guy. But you should feel comfortable. You're running back. If you got an RB1 going against the Bills, you should feel good putting your RB in.
I agree. They had a lot of injuries as well. rough week for the Buffalo's team, and on their defensive side, they had a lot of injuries.
Can I get Saquon back next week? It'd be a great week for Saquon if I get him back.
Trav will give us some updates on that later. Buffalo's running backs didn't look good at all, so we're not going to talk about them too much. I want to go over Buffalo's receivers. Two players over 20 points in PPR formats. Both of them over 100-yard game. I mean, that's what we see with this Buffalo team. They have Josh Allen. They have Stephon Diggs. They're going to put up points. It didn't relay in this game for the win for them, but fantasy value, it's there. How you feeling about these guys? I mean, they're continuing to play very well.
I mean, I got to walk you back on that running back comment. Like, the only running back that matters did get a touchdown, and that's Josh Allen. Just want to correct you on that one. The only running back that matters.
He was the leading rusher. Yeah, he was the leading rusher that game, I think.
Oh my gosh. 14 rushing yards.
14 yards. James Cook with -4 and Latavius Murray was 6. Oof. He was the lead rushing. That is very sad. That is very sad.
But to talk about these Buffalo receivers, last week I said don't expect Gabe Davis to get you a touchdown every game. I must have been wrong. I think Gabe Davis is how many games do we have left? Like 11, 12? He's going to get 12 more touchdowns. He's guaranteed a touchdown a week at this pace, it feels like. So, I mean, yeah, Gabe Davis, I guess you're firing him up now in your flex at this point because
he's 75% of snaps. He's 75% snap counts, averaging basically since week 2. He's had a touchdown every game. He's a flex. He's a flex. He's a must-start flex in my opinion.
Can't argue it at this point.
And on that other end, Ridley was getting a lot of love. 8 targets, 7 receptions, 122 yards. He was making some very good catches to the point where I feel he's been up and down in this offense, but I feel confident about starting him every week. 20-point game, outscoring his projections. Kirk over there as well. Saw the same amount of targets, but not as much amount of yards, but still putting up 14 points, outscoring his projections. Zay Jones as well, outscoring his projections with 11 points. Both of these teams have pretty solid receivers. We have to talk about who's going to outdo who. The Buffalo with Gabe Davis, like you said, you have to put him in the flex. He's had a touchdown every game besides week 1, and that's hard not to look away from.
Mm-hmm. Especially, didn't Kincaid go down? Aren't both their tight ends out now?
Yeah, Dawson Knox is dealing with an injury.
Yeah, we'll get to the injury report, but that's something to look at, you know. And the one a little disappointed was probably Evan Ingram, you know.
Yeah,
but I guess
he also saw 8 targets. So three Jacksonville Jaguars saw 8 targets, and he kind of came up with the least amount of yardage out of that. 4 catches, 28 yards, 6.8 fantasy points. I guess you kind of take that from a tight end at this point. Good enough for a tight end 20 finish on the week. So it is what it is. It's not like you're benching Evan Ingram. He's still one of the better tight end options in fantasy football. You're throwing him out there and kind of living with the result.
Yeah, good point. I mean, Mike, our guest last week, was talking big about the tight ends. Not a huge outlook, like you said. He underscored his projections, but he's still seeing the targets. The receivers had the same amount of targets as him. He could have made do with it. It's all right. It's a slow week. That it looked like it was very difficult to play on that London field. Before going away from this game, I'll go over the quarterbacks very quickly. Josh Allen's with 27 points. And Trevor Lawrence coming in under his projection by 1 point. So I'm going to take my W on that actor prediction there. So he played a good game, still underscoring his projections, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's move along to this Houston-Atlanta game. Where was our fantasy value here, Trav?
Houston and Atlanta. That game was interesting because Desmond Ridder finally showed up.
Right.
He 26.16 points at the quarterback position. He threw for 329 yards, threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown. Desmond Ridder, I mean, if he can play like that individually, he may be a streaming option at some point. But as far as your fantasy production, Kyle Pitts has arrived. 11 targets. He finally got more targets than Jonnu Smith.
Is that number 8? I saw number 8 on the Atlanta Falcons. He looked really good. I never seen him before, though.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known who Kyle Pitts was prior to this week because he's been MIA. Partially due to him and coming back from the injury a little slow, but Also because Desmond Ridder hadn't been playing good, but here he is. He played a good game, gave Kyle Pitts 11 targets. Kyle caught 7 of them for 87 yards, good enough for 15.7 fantasy points. Also, Jonnu Smith, who we threw out there as a streaming option, tight end waiver wire move, just in case you needed one. 6 catches for 67 yards. He saw 7 targets, good enough for 10.70 fantasy points. And then Drake London. I mean, he made some really impressive catches on some balls thrown from Desmond Ridder, 14.68 points because he threw a 22-yard pass. Drake London completed a 22-yard pass to the point where we're like, man, maybe Drake should play quarterback for the Falcons at this point. But I mean, this kind of feels good if you have people in this Atlanta offense, because now you're seeing some production. You're seeing Desmond Ridder show that he's capable. Houston is no slouch. They have a good defense all around. So to see Desmond Ridder have that game and give Drake London and Kyle Pitts and even Jonnu Smith, like we said, some fantasy relevant production finally, it's incredible.
Some light on the end of that tunnel for them, I guess. That's what it's looking like.
Yeah.
I mean, Bijan killed me, but that's fine. Like I can't even get upset about a bad Bijan day right now, because he's been consistent so far. So he had a bad game. That's fine. He's a rookie.
And I'll check that mark off. I'll check that mark off for our guest Mike Colleen Robinson, an actor this week. Hit that on the nose as well, coming in under the projections. But like Bruce said, it's nothing to worry about. This he's an animal. He's a beast. He's going to continue giving you fantasy value. Mike projected that he wasn't going to have a good game versus this defense, and he was right.
Right. Man,
looking over at the other side at that Houston team, CJ Stroud continuing to impress, continuing not to throw interceptions, but still coming in under fantasy value at 14 points. Had a good game. He made good decisions in the aspect of an NFL quarterback for an NFL team. For fantasy value, just didn't do it for us. A name to look at here on that Houston offense is Dameon Pierce. He hasn't been crazy. He's gave us pretty subpar games besides 1 week. I think he scored 15 points against Jacksonville. Do we hit the panic button on Dameon Pierce here? Because this offense is obviously going through CJ Stroud and these receivers that he's facilitating the ball to.
Yeah, I would worry about Dameon Pierce. I think it's time. I was actually having a conversation with Mike last night in the DMs on WhatsApp. We're trying to facilitate a trade, and we ended up talking about Dameon Pierce and his value right now. And it's just, he was making the argument for it, and I was making the argument against it, because he's getting 20 carries like he did in this game against Atlanta, but 66 yards. It's not equating to anything. When you're averaging barely 3 yards a carry and you're not getting a touchdown, you're only coming out with 9.2 fantasy points. And I mean, this is his 4th kind of disappointing game this year. I finished as RB27, but it's still disappointing. So Dameon Pierce is definitely time to panic. It doesn't get easier in week 6 against the New Orleans Saints. They have a pretty good run defense, and then he's on a bye. So it's definitely time to start worrying about Dameon Pierce. He's not a set it and forget it kind of guy, even though he's getting the volume, because the volume isn't matching up to value, to opportunity. So I don't know if you have another option, maybe pivot, but Dameon Pierce right now just not looking like that guy through 5 games.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. And there's not much going on running back wise in that backfield. He got 20 carries, man. 20 carries, and you're only giving me 9 points. It's panic. Hit the panic button, in my opinion.
I just think it was a rough game all around for the Houston offense. Like they were taking what the defense was giving them, and it wasn't a lot. Like the defense just was not giving them a lot. I mean, we had Dalton Schultz ball out with 19.5 points. Like, so it's just like, I think that was just one of those games where it was a hard fought fight, but they lost it at the end. Like, it just, and the fantasy points weren't there. The low scoring game, it wasn't really what they had. I think it was their defense that had the defense didn't have a pick 6. Whatever. Yeah, I'm wrong. But anyway, it was that type of day for them, in my opinion. Like, it just wasn't a good show out. Yeah. Everything went, I think everything went to the field goals. Everything was fair, man. Yeah, everything went through the kicker. They just couldn't find the end zone. So I think it was just a bad week for offense in Houston. That's my opinion.
Yeah, now, speaking about Dalton Schultz, when we go into the waiver wires as well, I'll just make it known here. He is available in majority of leagues, so that's a name to look at as well. He saw 10 targets. He saw 10 targets. So going over the receivers for Houston, all coming under the projections. The only person that had a good amount of targets was Robert Woods with 9 targets, but only making 30 yards out of that. So not a lot of fantasy value on the receivers there. Let's see very quickly. I know we'll talk about this next episode, but Houston is going against New Orleans, a very good defense next week. So be careful with that offense. Be careful on your next startups there. Moving along to a team that is rough to watch, the 0-5 Carolina Panthers versus this red hot Detroit team. Bruce, start us off with this one. Where's the fantasy value? Who made you go, wow?
Which one?
Carolina, Detroit.
Oh, what do you mean? The points are everywhere. Like David Montgomery, dude, is just like continually to ball out to a point where where's Jahmyr Gibbs gonna fit into this offense? It's getting to that point with me. But Josh Reynolds again. This game killed me. I have Amon-Ra. I try to plug in Jameson Williams. They had him on a snap count, but even though at the end of the day, it just did nothing, like nothing. But Adam Thielen on the other side of the ball is wide receiver 1 over there in Carolina. And even though they're 0-5, there's still fantasy value in this offense for some reason. But it's there.
Yeah, Adam Thielen has the Dolphins next week, who their defense haven't been very good. So I see another good week from him as well coming up.
And Bryce is if he could just keep those interceptions down, man, he's gonna be he's starting to look better.
Yeah,
starting to look better.
He did outscore his projections at 18 points. He was projected only 10 points, pretty low for a quarterback in the NFL. On the other side, Jared Goff is looking like a viable option if you're having some issues at quarterback. 27 points, 20 completions for 236 yards, 3 tutties. And it looks like he carried one in too. I didn't watch the game, so I can't really commentate too much on it. But it looks like he carried 1 touchdown in and threw 3 touchdowns through the air. Huge for quarterback value. Jared Goff may be available in your league, someone to look at in case you're having quarterback issues. But yeah, we spoke about Montgomery. We spoke about Thielen there. DJ Chark giving us a little bit of performance too. He had a touchdown, putting his value at 13 points, outscoring his projections. Jameson Williams, Bruce, you were saying they have him on a snap count.
I mean,
this is a team that runs this is a team that's going heavy on the ground, man. What do we think about there? Is he going to continue? Because there's a lot of assets on this team. It's a good team. They have a good defense. I can't overlook Laporta as well.
They drafted him for this reason. They want him to be that. They want him to be wide receiver 2 or 1.
Wide receiver 1 is wide receiver 2. Sam Laporta.
Oh wait. yeah, bro.
Don't disrespect my boy, though.
Yeah, but no, that's just. I mean, the team has a good offense, man. So what are you gonna do? But right now with Amon-Ra out, I'm hoping. It's funny because somebody tweeted this. It was like, you think you see this silver lining with Amon-Ra out, Gibbs out, and then you're like Sam Laporta and Montgomery are gonna ball, and that's exactly what happened. You think you're gonna get some love with Jameson, but it didn't happen this week. So it's a stinger, bro.
Nothing but hurt feelings.
Ain't nothing worse when I'm leaving points on my bench too. Oh my god.
No, my only take on this game is Jared Goff continues that good rapport with Josh Reynolds, who once again can step in a pinch and be a solid flex option. 4 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown, good enough for 17.60 fantasy points in PPR formats. But it really was just all about Montgomery and Laporta. Jared Goff did get in on the ground, also the quarterback sneak, which it counts as a rushing touchdown. So 27.44. He's been a viable streaming option, but now without his best weapon in Amon-Ra St. Brown, still putting up 27 fantasy points. I mean, Detroit is for real. We know where the fantasy value lies with them. It's Montgomery, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and it's Laporta. We're going to be watching Amon-Ra carefully, see when he comes back from this oblique injury or abdomen injury.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Excellent point. Moving along to Tennessee and the Colts.
About this game.
This game, this game's a little rough. Once again, we'll go over it. We'll go over Trav will go over it, the extent of the injury to Richardson later. But Gardner Minshew took over the helm, but it didn't matter because although Jonathan Taylor had his welcome back game, they said he was going to be on a snap count. They did not lie to us. Only 6 carries for Jonathan Taylor, 23 carries for Zach Moss, 165 yards, 2 tutties, 2 receptions for 30 yards, a whopping 33.5 points, coming in just under Travis Etienne, who's a RB1 for the fantasy week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll leave. Okay, Bruce seems like he's upset about this. So go ahead.
Well, I just got a lot of questions. Like, all right, so
Yeah.
like just to get one out the way, I left D Hop on the bench. He went off. Obviously, he's the vet. He's the guy that Tannehill should be looking for. So I guess he is looking for him now because there's been an uptick in his play, especially his points. Like he went for a decline, now he's starting to climb back up. So I guess he's getting that trust from Tannehill. But talking about, I really want to talk about, without talking too long about it, what is the realistic view of the Colts, Indianapolis Colts, with Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor back there and Anthony Richardson, all three that can run the ball?
Yeah. So Richardson's going to be out for a couple of weeks, I believe. Trav will let us know a little later exactly the specifics about that. They did not pay Jonathan Taylor to sit back there. He's going to be the main back. Zach Moss is going to be the RB2 there. But with that said, Zach Moss is still going to make do with his carries. They didn't pay Jonathan Taylor to take 6 carries. I honestly believe we would have saw the same performance if Jonathan Taylor was given more carries or something close to it. So
it's just like my worry is like, if as a fantasy owner, what do you do right now? Like, what do you do right now if these two guys, if say somebody in your league owns JT and then you own Zach Moss? Like, what is a realistic view of you playing Zach Moss with JT in there now, or JT with Zach Moss? Like, how do you feel? Because I know you own JT.
Yeah. I mean, I'm unless I have a viable option, I'm going to start. JT is JT. They paid him the running back money. He's not a bum. He didn't decline last year like some other running backs that were declining and went to other teams. That's not what we saw from JT. So he's going to be good. Now, with what you're saying and the concerns, I'll say this. Until I see the snap count increase, it's hard to start him. It's tough. Unless you have a viable option, it's tough to start him because, I mean, it's a big difference from 23 carries and 6 carries. It's not even close. He was obviously on a snap count. Zach Moss got all the touches. Now, unless we're in that coaching room, there's no way of telling if they're going to continue going with the hot hand and Zach Moss and let JT just sit back. Or either way, if they paid the man, but they end up wanting to trade him anyways, they're going to want him to play for his resume. If they paid him to play, they're gonna allow him to play. He's gonna get the ball. But until then, flags are raised because 6 carries is just not enough. He's not going to be able to do anything with that.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern for me is, if you're the Colts, is there a party that feels a little stupid right after giving Jonathan Taylor this money? Zach Moss comes in and does what Jonathan Taylor could have done, and at a much cheaper cost. Like, I know we're not GMs on this show, we're just talking fantasy football, but it's got to be a little like not redundant, but a bit contrarian in the sense that you're getting Jonathan Taylor production from Zach Moss right after you gave him $14 million a year. So there's really no incentive to rush Jonathan Taylor back to full workload type of games if Zach Moss is doing what he's doing. I mean, 23 carries, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's breaking long ones. He's breaking long runs here for Indianapolis, Zach Moss, and he's not known to be a burner. So the holes that offensive line is open, the holes the offensive line is opening up for Zach Moss are just beautiful, because he's not the kind of guy that's going to eliminate an angle and zoom past you. He's just getting free yardage based on what the O-line is giving him. So there's really no reason for Indianapolis to be like, all right, next week it's time for Jonathan Taylor to get 20 carries and Zach Moss gets 6. Like, we may be just in 2023 looking at some sort of split backfield.
I highly disagree. They didn't pay this man $14 million a year to have him be RB2. to only get 6 carries. This is not going to continue. I don't think it is, and if it does, I'll man up and say I'm wrong. But I don't think you pay a running back this much to say, hey, we're going to split the ball here. We're going to split if anything, Zach Moss may be on a trading block. If anything, that's what I see. I see this continuing to be John Taylor's backfield. They wouldn't have paid this man after all the shit that was talked, after all the beef that was given, and they're still going to pay him. It's not for him to take less carries or split the backfield. That's how I see it. But yeah, it's hard to go away from the fact that Zach Moss had this type of game.
Yeah, and it's not the first time he's had this type of game. Week 2, he was RB10. Week 3, RB5. Week 4 against the Rams, RB27, whatever. But then here in week 5, RB2. So we want to see Jonathan Taylor get these touches because, damn, look what Jonathan Taylor could be doing with these touches. But at the same time, as a coaching staff, how do you vindicate the fact, or how do you justify taking carries away from Zach Moss if he's performing at this high of a level? And also trying to manage not throwing Jonathan Taylor coming off that high ankle sprain and contractitis back into the mix right away.
Yeah, man. I mean, I got 14 million reasons to explain to you why Jonathan Taylor is going to be the main back here.
you would definitely think so, man. So hopefully Jonathan Taylor gets his role back.
But how about on the flip end? Now you see in Derrick Henry, who he had 13 carries. And TJ Spears had 7, and he did more of what he got. I mean, he got more of the receptions, but that's like that's another thing. Like as a fantasy owner, I mean, TJ Spears looks like he's getting more production during the weeks. So
well, this is the difference in this backfield because going back to Zach Moss and John Taylor real quick, they both they're not rookies. They're both around the same age. It's just who's going to be the hot hand over there. We'll see as the weeks progress if Zach Moss is going to continue getting the carries and they tell JT to sit to the side and not rush him back. If we look at this end, he's the new toy. He's the young guy. He's the rookie. He's making plays. Why are we going to continue giving this ball to Henry when it's not happening on that end? And Spears is making plays and Spears is making stuff happen. I mean, it's obvious to see that they're going to want to continue playing Spears because it'll be easy to not pay Henry and to not continue his contract when you got a running back that's young and better at this time.
They're legit splitting carries.
Yeah. I mean, my take on this backfield is it's going to be annoying. I mean, if you have Derrick Henry, you're obviously starting him no matter what. But Tyjae Spears isn't going anywhere either. He's going to be annoying. He's going to be a thorn in Derrick Henry's side, especially Derrick Henry fantasy managers. So it's just something that you kind of have to live with because, like I said, you're not sitting Derrick Henry because his backup is getting some work. That's just not how it works. You're going with Derrick Henry and you're hoping that those 13 carries for 43 yards eventually become 17, 18 to 20 carries for 100 yards like we know Derrick Henry's good for. So you're just playing the patience game with Derrick Henry right now, even though it hasn't been fun so far through 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't have patience.
I just had to throw that one out there. You guys want to move on to the one that I'm sure you guys really want to talk about or no?
Next on the chart here we have the Miami Dolphins and the New York Giants. The New York Giants, Mr. Giants. Once again, we have injury info there later on with Daniel Jones, but there's nothing to talk about really besides Darren Waller on the Giants team.
Yep.
I'll leave that. I don't want to talk. I know that's your boy.
No, the thing that kills me about the Giants is that's where they work their offense around. Like you're working your offense around a tight end, bro. He ain't Kelsey, bro. Like you don't. That's just the honest truth. Is Waller good? Yeah, Waller's a great tight end, but he's injury prone. He's almost like a broken down car. You might have to fix it next week. I don't know what to say. It's just they're relying heavily on him to run the offense through him, and it's like
11 targets, man. I mean,
Giants.
Look at all the other targets here. 2 targets, Campbell. 4 targets, Slayton. 2 targets, Hodgins. 2 targets, Shepard. I mean, 11 targets is clear as day to see until Saquon gets back where the offense is going through, like you said.
You're not giving any of your wide receivers a chance, bro. Like, I don't know what's going on. I would love to see some type of, maybe we got to watch something on Daniel Jones, but man, this offense is trash.
Yeah,
It's unbearable to watch, bro. This is not what these guys got paid for. It's just not. And then you can say you missing Saquon. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but at the end of the day, you're not scoring touchdowns in the air, so it's not good look for you.
Yeah. I mean, this fantasy wise, this is a team that really doesn't deserve our breath right now. Like there's nothing good coming out of New York. I mean, obviously you like as a Darren Waller owner, this bounce back performance from him feels good. And you don't care that the Giants lost 31-16 because Darren Waller's giving you 16.6. So you take it and you don't really care about how bad they look. But this is kind of an outlier week for Darren Waller, who hasn't been that good this year. Good enough for tight end 9, sure, but coming off a tight end 26 finish in week 4 and a tight end 25 finish in week 3. So you feel good about 11 targets. You feel good about 8 receptions, but is it sustainable? I'm not sure. I mean, the offense is so bad that at any given moment, Darren Waller can go right back to those outside the top 20 finishes at tight end. So, like I said, an offense that doesn't deserve our breath or our energy right now, but the one on the other side most definitely does.
Do me a favor. Where did they get the points from? Is it all special teams and
they got 14 points on defense because I wouldn't even say their defense was good. It's just Tua made some mistakes.
But like
the ball bounced in the air, and
all your points came from your
there was a pick six, right?
And special teams, dude.
There was
had to be.
Yeah. No, there was.
Go and find out who got a touchdown on that team. Nobody.
12 points from the kicker, 14 points from the defense, and 60 points from Darren Waller. That was majority of your points for that game. Everybody else not breaking 10 points.
At this point, the offense needs to ask the defense for directions to where's the end zone.
A pick six for the Giants defense, and then 3 field goals from Graham Gano is how they got their 16 points. It's just all ugly in New York with the Giants.
Yeah, super ugly. And like I don't even give credit to their defense because it was just a mistake. The ball popped in the air. I wouldn't even call it a mistake from Tua, more of the receiver, and the ball popped in the air. And they just took advantage of it. As of a team of the Giants' nature, you have to take advantage of mistakes, and they did. It just wasn't enough. I picked this game as a game of the week for me because the Dolphins are just putting up points. They're playing very bad teams, and they're continuing to play another bad team next week with a 0-5 matchup. I continue seeing points with this offense until they have some type of resistance to the caliber of even the Patriots. The Patriots put a little bit of resistance on them, and the Bills. Until we see another caliber team like that, which due to injuries and due to other reasons, a lot of teams are just not there defensively. The Dolphins are going to continue putting up points. All-star of the game, as always, Tyreek Hill, 181 yards. He wanted a 2K season. He's on his way to that 2K season. 9 receptions, 181 yards, 1 touchdown. Waddle getting in the end zone, and we saw his first Penguin move of the year with touchdown. 10 targets for 5 receptions and 35 yards, outscoring his projection just by a tad bit. There's your fantasy value receiver wise. They're the guys. They see the ball the most. Going to the defense, to the running backs, another injury report we're going to have for you later, but Mr. Rookie Achan, 151 yards, 11 carries, 1 touchdown. He fumbled. He dropped the ball once, but hey, it's all good. 21 points on the board. Mostert also seeing that love. I called earlier in this podcast here that Mostert's going to be the guy to get hurt, and Achan's going to fly off the charts. Looks like that flipped as well as they get Jeff Wilson back this week. Once again, I'll let you guys speak about it if you want, but there's continuing to be fantasy value here. We're until they're truly tested, we're not going to see if this is going to continue or not. But I don't see, looking at their schedule, I don't see anything stopping them anytime soon as of right now. So they have to play the Patriots again in a couple weeks, but they're dealing with their own existential crisis at the moment.
Yeah. Since we're here, I'll just touch on it real quick. Devon Achane expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury. Raheem Mostert is the guy you're going to be firing up. Jeff Wilson comes back. If you don't have him, see if you can get him. He's going to have a role. It looks like all the running backs on this team have a role because they're just that special of an offense. So my only take is fire up Raheem Mostert. If you got him, go get Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they even heard that they're gonna even consider the IR for Achan. I don't know if they're gonna do that actually or not, but it was a consideration. Moving on to the New Orleans game and another team that the Dolphins played, New England. that's just trash right now. 0 points,
Hmm.
0 points,
Jeez.
34 points by New Orleans. Mac Jones got benched, giving us a whopping negative points.
Yeah.
No, there's got to be some type of form of sabotage going on over there, bro.
Hey, and I'm
It's
glad to
just-
see it.
Yeah,
Listen,
it
if
feels
if,
crazy,
if I
bro.
see the Patriots go down and the Dolphins get a little love, that's fine with me. As long as the Patriots go down in the process.
I'm sorry, but there's just some form of there has to be some. There's no way that this is the New England Patriots, bro.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
this franchise. Like, there's just no way.
There's
I mean,
something really going on
I'm
over there
basking it.
because we're at the point where Ramondre Stevenson
dog, don't even get me started with that.
back to back weeks, finishing outside the top 40 in running backs, or he finished as RB 40 in week 4, RB 48 in week 5. Best finish this year was RB 13, but that was in week 1. There's nothing that this offense has to value or has to give in terms of value. Even Ramondre at this point is looking like somebody that you're just obviously benching and not even thinking about it at this point, despite the
Yeah.
matchup, because it's not like all the matchups have been tough. He's had his opportunities, and it's just not happening for that offense in general. Bailey Zapp is coming in and outscoring Mac Jones in fantasy, and that's just with 0.88 points. So there's nothing good on that side of the ball either. This is almost, I mean, shit, it might be worse than what the Giants have actually given us. So nothing to talk about in New England.
I think honestly, this is probably pressure on the GM.
The GM is Belichick.
Then I'm telling you, it's not
Back his ass
this
up. Get
pressure.
him out.
Yeah, because Ramondre Stevenson is dropping in his snap counts as the weeks go on.
Yeah.
And it's like, how is this even possible? And this kid last year, what he had last year, I'm trying to look at it real quick, but
Last year,
1,000
he was just
yards,
sensational. Yeah.
1,000 yards rushing, almost 500 yards in the air. Like, I don't know, man. I don't get it. There's like some self-sabotage going on over there, bro.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what they're trying to do.
You send Bill Belichick to the front office somewhere. He is that franchise. He is everything that New England is. Staffing wise, obviously, I'm not talking about players because that would be Brady, but staffing wise, you give him a nice little statue. You put his picture on the wall. If he wants a job in the front office, give it to him. But it's about time for him to pack his bags. Going over New Orleans offense very quick. Nothing that will wow you. Their points came primarily from their defense. 24 points, 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, 1 fumble, and one touchdown by that defense. 24 points is huge for defense in fantasy. The only thing we could talk about here, and I'll let you guys split that talk, is Kamara and Miller. They're putting up decent points. They're outscoring their fantasy projections. Nothing that's going to say wow. Nothing that's going to give you 30, 40-point game like some of these players have been doing, but solid points being given by both of these backs.
Yeah, it looks like Alvin Kamara is officially back. I mean, this isn't a running back that they look to give 20 plus carries too often because they just use him as an all-around weapon, pass catching out of the backfield. But to see 22 carries, even though it was only 80 yards, it still feels good because now he's dominating the carries, and that's a good feeling for Alvin Kamara. So he's coming back with a vengeance. He was my actor. I projected that he would not outscore the 14.44. He did that by 4 points, so kudos to him. I have him in a league, so I'm with it, baby. But again, yeah, that's the highlight of their fantasy output. But something that I want to talk about a little bit, because it's been a little disappointing, is Chris Olave this week. 2 catches, 12 yards, and a touchdown. Now, he was injured pregame. He tweaked his ankle a little bit, but I just expected so much more from Chris Olave this season, and it's not happening yet with Derek Carr.
Yeah, from my perspective, it's a Derek Carr issue right now, dude.
Yeah.
He's just not connecting with these guys.
Yeah.
He'll find them, but he's not connecting with them. And it's showing. It's showing on, like, if you look at the stats, it's showing. He's throwing a lot. He's just not completing a lot. So what's going on there? Like,
yeah. Back-to-back games, under 10 fantasy points. He had 1.4 in week 4 against Tampa. But even with scoring a touchdown to not crack 10, it's disappointing. So obviously, Chris Olave, you're firing him up every week, but there is some concern to be had there for sure.
Yeah, man. It's the first year that we had some production by Michael Thomas, man, and right now he's showing that he's the more trustworthy guy. He didn't get a touchdown last week, but he's getting more looks. I'm gonna go over this Baltimore-Pittsburgh game very quickly so we can get through all these games and give
you go ahead.
It's simple. Once again, a lot of fantasy value was seen on the defense from the Steelers. Once again, a big week for defenses. A lot of defenses putting up 20 points, which is ridiculous for your defense. But the fantasy value here is going to be in your guy Pickens with 130 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 carry for 16 yards, whopping 26 points. On the other end, our fantasy value was given by Mr. Hill, not by Jackson, not by Gus Edwards, not by Mr. Flowers. The fantasy value was given most by Hill because he was just making do of the carries that he got. Gus Edwards got more carries, but Hill with the tutty still tutty to the air and on the ground, giving him 12 points. I want to get to this game here, though. This is a good game because Mr. I'm always open was finally always open. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Arizona game. Who wants the reins for the Jamar Chase rant?
That's a fucking 7-Eleven, dude. It's always open.
He
wasn't lying, dude. He was not lying. Not lying, bro. 19 receptions, 19
targets.
19 targets, 15 receptions, dude. For almost 200 yards.
Huge, 3 tutties. 3 of those came with tutties.
We thought DJ Moore was safe as wide receiver 1 this week. No, sir. Jamar Chase came and snatched it.
Bro,
and in some leagues, it's possible, depending where people drafted, that you had both of these guys in your lineup.
Yeah, exactly. Of course.
So
I'm surprised the amount of targets other people got. Like, it's like
no. I mean, okay, let's go to the guy who was facilitating the ball, and I benched this week, and I said it in the podcast. Watch, I'm going to bench him, and he's going to do things, Mr. Joe Burrow, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but 46 pass attempts, 36 completions. He was facilitating the ball, 10 targets to Mr. Irwin, 7 targets to Boyd. He was giving the ball out. He was finally, I guess he says, the worst part of the calf injury. The worst part of the calf injury was over, and he showed us that, it's over because putting up the 3 tutties, I said, hey, you know what happened? This is what happened. I said, listen, man, you're going to have to sit on the bench until you show me something. He heard me say that on this podcast because he's an avid watcher of this podcast. And he's like, I'll show you, Mr. Feebz. I'll show you. So he made his way back to my starting lineup. I am starting him next week. Do we continue seeing this value from the Cincinnati team who's just been straight bad through 4 weeks and finally showing it week 5?
This is the value we were supposed to be seeing.
It's the value that we all projected, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the other side of the ball very quickly, and a name that wasn't very big, but Dobbs is loving him on Hollywood Brown. 10 targets, 61 yards. He's been putting up points. Besides week 1 where he put up 8 points, he's had solid 4 weeks. He's still not projected as a high receiver, but he's given us points. He's given us solid games from the receiver standpoint, and it's Dobbs. Dobbs looks for him a lot. Dobbs looks for him an extensive amount. He's seen the most targets. What do you guys feel about any other value on this Arizona offense?
I mean, I just want to say I think a broken clock is right twice a day, they say. Like, I don't know. I don't like Hollywood Brown, but if you're getting that many targets, you're eventually going to bring something in.
I remember specifically in the RDL draft, I picked up Hollywood Brown, and both you and Trav said, ugh. My man has been putting fantasy value for my team, though. Besides, he's been giving me points.
Good, bro. Yeah, I'm good.
Trust me, when I drafted him. When I drafted him in the league, I was like, I didn't want to draft him, but I was like, damn, I mean, at least I can hang my hat on the fact that it's Hollywood Brown and he individually is talented, and that's what's panning out. Like, he's a good football player who we just all thought would be in a terrible situation. Then they bring in Josh Dobbs, and Josh Dobbs has brought life to this team and fantasy value everywhere. I mean, last week Michael Wilson had the 2 touchdowns. This week, Hollywood Brown's killing it regardless. It's not just this week. He's had 4 straight weeks of just really good play. But then Rondale Moore also gets 10 fantasy points. Zach Ertz gets a touchdown. Josh Dobbs has brought life to a team that we all looked at and said, no, thank you, as far as fantasy players from that roster. So kudos to Josh Dobbs bringing life to fantasy football out of Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where I heard some rumors that Murray may be on the move as well.
Yeah,
I want to
would
talk
believe
about.
so.
Yeah, I want to talk about the rookie running back. I know it came at the expense of Connor, but getting 10 carries, 45 yards, and a tutty. Demicardo, who I have sitting on my taxi squad in Trav's Dynasty League, just sitting there, you know,
No, what are you
collecting
gonna do?
dust. I don't know. I don't know.
I have to activate
Yeah.
him, baby.
Yeah, you never know.
Listen, I put up 197 points in my Dynasty League, so he could stay on the taxi squad for a little longer.
Yeah,
No, yeah, man.
that was great.
Yeah. Bengals also putting up 17 points with their defense. I usually don't talk about defenses, but what several defenses this week putting up points, special teams altogether, a lot of kickers as well. I give them their little slither of 15 minutes of fame on the podcast. Go ahead, Bruce.
I just feel like it's due to a high influx of rookies in the league right now. So mistakes are being made. Like I think that's why we're getting these defenses that are putting up points. Well, then again, I take that back. I got to walk that back because Lamar Jackson is no longer a rookie, and they put up a lot of points. But I mean, if you look at the Saints,
yeah,
if they put up a lot of points, Daniel Jones might as well be a rookie. But no, yeah, I don't know. I guess defense is where it's at this year. I have to walk that back. I was wrong.
Sorry. It's all good. It's all good. All right, let's walk forward into the Philly Rams game. A good fantasy value here.
Puka.
Yeah, Trav, take us away with that receiving core that is not missing a beat.
Yeah, I thought week one back with Cooper Kupp, I thought Puka Nacua would take a significant hit. And it turns out it's just him and Cooper Kupp back there getting all the targets. Cooper Kupp, 12 targets, made good for 8 catches, 118 yards, 19.8 fantasy points. But Puka got 11, one less target than Cooper Kupp, 7 catches, one less catch than Cooper Kupp. But he got the touchdown, 71 yards and a touchdown, good for 20.10 fantasy points. Still found a way to outscore Cooper Kupp. Obviously, that's not going to be a weekly thing, but it just feels good to know that if you had Puka Nacua and you held on to him because you believed that he would still have a role once Cooper Kupp came back, at the very least, after 1 week, it looks like it's going to pay off. Just a really good showing from Puka and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think that value continues on both ends for both receivers. What was good to see was cut back on the field, giving us that value that most people drafted him in the first round for. He was getting the yards after the catch. He was open. He was elusive. He was good. He seemed like a young man out there. He looked good catching that ball. I don't see the value going away from Puka Nacua. He's obviously the other favorite target there. Not making as much do with his receptions, but he got the tutty and he gets open, and that's important for Matthew Stafford and that offense. Not much love in the running back room for the Rams as that continues to be an ongoing issue. But I want to talk about real quick the tight end and Higbee. I think Kupp coming back has hurt Higbee significantly. He's not seeing the targets anymore because you have 2 other receivers out there that are getting open and you get the ball to, and they're going to give you more value there. So panic on Higbee is my opinion. You need a panic on him because I don't think he's going to see much love. There's just too much talent in that receiving core for Higbee to be a part of it. He's better off as a blocking tight end, if anything.
I would agree. And then on the other side, Dallas Goedert. Welcome back, Dallas Goedert. Mike said that he thought Dallas Goedert would have a big game. He said the tight ends in general would get involved. We won't talk about Tyler Higbee because Dallas Goedert just did that damn good, so it validates his take. Tight end 2 on the week, Dallas Goedert, 25.7 fantasy points, 8 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. Welcome back, Dallas Goedert, because we were freaking missing you, buddy.
Yeah, man. I watched some of that game. He was getting open. He was making plays happen against a good Rams team. A good Rams team, to say the least. They're not just giving anything up. Philly's still 5-0. They're acting like it. AJ Brown continuing to be amazing and continuing to put up those points. A little bit we have to talk about is Devontae Smith only giving us 1.6 points. Uh, I don't want to say panic. I don't want to say
Yeah.
panic because this is a good receiver. He's a great receiver, but AJ Brown's getting all the love right now. And is it something that Devontae Smith may be dealing with injury wise or eternally, or is it just that AJ Brown's the hot hand right now?
AJ's the hot hand. Devontae Smith is going to get his, if not week 6 against the Jets, definitely against the Miami Dolphins or Washington Commanders coming up soon. Pretty good stretch of games coming up for those wide receivers. So I'm not worried about Devontae Smith. I'm still firing him up in every league that I have him in. He's a good wide receiver too. It's just not there right now because AJ Brown has been so hot, but Devontae will bounce back.
Yeah, then let's go over Bruce. Go ahead and take away with the running backs there.
You got
For Philly.
Swift, baby. Swift, nah. I think Swift is doing Swift things. Like he's good. Like you're good if you got Swift. You play him. Gainwell is not a threat to him right now.
Yeah.
Kyron, we got to talk about Kyron Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little bit disappointing. He had his chances, and
he's a bum.
He's a bum.
He's just not an efficient back. He's pretty easy to replace in my opinion. So like what Kyron does or what he's good at is mainly the pass blocking on the blitz, picking up blitzes. As a runner, as an athlete, he's a little below average, but he's making the most out of being the only running back that they're featuring out there. So 7.7 this week. It could go back to 20 next week. You're at a point with Kyron where if you have him, you start him, and you really don't think twice.
Hey, he's just waiting for that game. You're waiting for that boom game. I mean,
yeah,
he's having
that's all
he's
he's
having
had.
More boom. Yeah,
that's all he's had is boom
than
games,
bust
so we'll
games.
see.
So you just got to hang on to him and see what happens. It's just it sucks when you're expecting him to have a good game and he doesn't.
Yeah,
but it's hard when you can't get. Also, like you got to think about it too. It's hard when you can't get the Eagles off the field like that, bro.
Yeah,
exactly.
That brotherly shove shit is just killing it.
It's shit.
I wish I could just pull up time of possession, bro, because I'm pretty sure time of possession is up there with the Eagles.
Yeah, man. It's a good team, still undefeated, still 5-0. It was a good fantasy.
Come on, next game.
Yeah. I just want to talk about next game.
Okay, let's talk about the next game. To be honest, it wasn't an exciting game unless you're a Jet fan.
Yeah,
let's just be real. Not much fantasy value there everywhere else, but I would like to start off here because I stamped it. I said it was going to happen. I called him a factor. I said it was going to have a big run. I said he was going to have the tutty. Go ahead, Trav. Who am I talking about?
Talking about Breece Hall, man. 22 carries.
Man.
Finally gets his featured game. 22 carries, 177 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches for 17 yards, caught all 3 of his targets, 28.40 fantasy points. Breece, the beast, has been unleashed, and it feels so damn good. Now, unfortunately, he gets the Eagles next week, which is going to be tough. Down Elijah Vera Tucker, our best offensive lineman. It might not be this good next week against Philly, but Breece Hall is back after the bye against the Giants. He'll pick up where he left off in this game against Denver. It just feels good to have that patience in Breece that we knew we needed in order for him to get back to where he is now. A lot of people predicted the week 5, week 6 blow up game, and it happened. So it's great to have Breece Hall back. Dalvin Cook, non-factor. Michael Carter out-snapped Dalvin Cook. So we've been saying for a while Dalvin Cook was useless. You could drop him, but I mean, at this point,
he's a bum.
Yeah.
Listen, I like to make it very known before we go off this game real quick, is that it was a revenge game for Breece Hall. That's why I made him a factor. And not only because Denver is fantasy punching bag, it's a revenge game for him because he hurt himself last year during Denver. So the ACL went out and he wanted to show him, listen, if this is what would happen last year, if I played the entire game. Real quick, before we go off the game, got to show love to Jaleel McLaughlin. He was running all over the Jets defense, as a lot of other running backs have. It's the Jets offense is another team, like we were talking about. Who else we were talking about? The Giants. That if you have a running back that you're playing against the Jets, I say start them. They haven't been able to stop their running backs, giving them a lot of love, and just start your running backs against the Jets. I don't see much more other fantasy value here. Give love again to the special teams with Zerline 18 points and the New York Jets defense 19 points. Anything else about this game?
Nope.
Just need Zach to find his guys, bro. That's it.
Yeah.
Zach needs to find
just
his
give the
guys.
ball to Brees Lightning 100 times a game. We'll win.
Yep.
Nah,
Uh,
man, it's just Garrett Wilson, man. He got to come alive one of these games sooner or later, man.
Not with Zach at the helm, man. It's gonna be
Yeah.
tough. But
I know.
that's not fantasy
No.
value in a sense right now. So we'll get off that game. I want to go over very quickly the performance given by another 5-0 team in San Francisco. Kittle giving us 27 points with 3 tutties. 3 tutties. He only had 4 receptions. Guess what? I mean, he only had 4 targets, but 3 of those he's caught, and all 3 of them were touchdowns. 27 points. Another pinning and stamping by Mike with the tight ends going off this week. He was absolutely right. A bunch of tight ends went off.
Yeah.
Kittle was added to that list.
Kittle, tight ends this week. Top 10, 12 was the lowest scored, and then everybody else is 15, 19. I guess you guys were right. Logan Thomas finished top 5. But,
Yeah.
Kittle
Just to be known, Kittle
Kittle had
was
a
the top
day,
tight end
dude.
for the week.
Yeah.
Kittle was just absolutely.
I
welcome
would
back.
like to say that we should start panicking on Christian McCaffrey. This is unacceptable. Only 13 points. This is the first week he went under 20 points, and I think the flag should be raised.
Yeah. Drop
you're
him
not
in any
even
league
mad
that
at
I'm in.
Drop.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll take them
Yeah.
off your lineup.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Give him
Drop
to
is
me.
crazy. He gives you 13 points, and you can't even be upset about it. Like you just can't be mad. That's
Yeah.
oh man, he's so good though.
Obviously, as we said, Kittle had 3 touchdowns. So that's where the fantasy value went. That's why McCaffrey didn't see much. Dallas is just being Dallas, doing Dallas things right now. So not much to talk about on that side of the ball. A poor performance from Pollard, but they were playing a very good San Francisco team. I don't think any flags are raised with either of these running backs that didn't really play up to their potential. Deuce Vaughn had 1 point. Bruce,
bro, I don't. Man.
moving.
Look, real quick though, this
Yeah,
is how crazy it is, right? Because like McCaffrey, this is a real average game for him, right?
Yeah.
But if you go, I'm because we kind of skipped over this game. I don't want to talk about it because I know we're going to talk about it in a moment. But Pacheco had a great game, but he only had 13 points. And in my opinion, he had a great game.
Right.
Yeah. But Tony Pollard, man, not doing nothing. I need Deuce Vaughn in my life because that's my guy. It ain't gonna happen. This Dallas offense, man, I don't know what they're doing. It's looking bad. I understand the Niners got a crazy defense, but this offense hasn't been clicking.
Well, Dallas had the Dolphin syndrome. They weren't playing very good teams. Okay. And they were putting up points, and they weren't playing very good teams. They've played probably a Super Bowl appearing team here in San Francisco, and they got mollywopped. Yeah. So I think that's what it is. They haven't been playing very good teams, so they've been, oh my God, the Dallas, they're great, Super Bowl.
Yeah, but like this is the thing though, right? Like everybody it's Super Bowl. Now you got a Super Bowl caliber team in front of you, and you get obliterated.
Well, once again, it's the same thing I was saying with the Dolphins. Is they had a team that they're probably going to see in the playoffs that's going to try to prevent them from proceeding, and they got mollywopped. And this happened to Dallas too. So once again, Dallas is one of those teams, along with the Dolphins. They're good. They're good teams. They're obviously good teams. We've seen them play. The Dolphins having a little bit more. I don't know the proper terminology, but I'll just say they're faster. They're a faster team. So I can see the Dolphins having potential to beat good teams. I don't see that with Dallas. I don't see them having the coaching. I don't see them having the elusive players to beat a good team. Maybe the Dolphins because they're fast and they can get behind the defenses, but I don't see that with Dallas. But excuse me. But yeah, once again, the points here were with Kittle, but like Bruce said, I wouldn't be angry about your 13-point game from McCaffrey. It's McCaffrey. He's going to continue giving you great games. This game, it just went somewhere else. Yeah. Very quickly, I want to go over the Monday night game. Points value there. I'm just going to go over our 2 best players. They were both on the Vegas side of the ball. Jacoby Myers and Josh Jacobs, both outscoring their projection. Jacoby Myers with 20 points, 10 targets and 7 receptions. Josh Jacobs, 20 carries, another high carry game for a running back, and giving us that 1 tutty and 5 receptions. So in PPR format, that's where your points were with Josh Jacobs, because besides that, it wasn't a crazy like wow game for Josh Jacobs, but easy 5 points. And then another 2 points with the yardage there. You got 7 points, and then the tutty helped that's where your value was in Josh Jacobs. Imagine having a league. I know there's some leagues like that, but you get half a point per carry or something like that, and they got 20 carries. Imagine.
That's crazy, bro.
I know there's some leagues out there that have some crazy things. All right, we wanted to talk about this game last because it will give us a segue into Trav's injury report. So we'll come out and say it. Poor performance by Justin Jefferson, but it's because he was dealing with an injury. Only Justin Jefferson giving 5 points, a player that's giving you 20 points every single week until right now. Pretty serious business there that Trav will clean up for us. But Bruce, go ahead, talk about that Pacheco and Pacheco running and a little bit about Minnesota's running backs.
Well, Pacheco looked really, really good, man. I mean, this wasn't a high offense it wasn't like this crazy KC game, right? It wasn't like this typical KC game. Yeah. I think it was more so because I can't even tell you, because this game wasn't exciting like that. It should have been more like, should have been closer, in my opinion. I mean, 20-7 to 20, it's close, but Minnesota's like slacking, man. Like, I don't know what's going on with Minnesota. They're just not getting it done. And unfortunately, we had what happened. Jay Jetta's leaving the game early, and then Addison on my bench, another person that was on my bench. But the running game, man, Cam Akers, non-existent.
Yeah.
We talked about that last week as well. Yeah.
Madison, Cam Akers is just a fire, bro. A fire under Madison's ass, bro.
Right.
Yeah, keep playing, play hard, because Madison seems to be the guy right now.
Yeah, Madison outscored his projection as well. Not by much, but he still gave you what he said he was going to give you. Yeah. So that's always good to see.
Yep.
Yeah. Another week where Pacheco's dominating the carries. Feels like that's the only back that you're even attempting to start out of Kansas City. Travis Kelce, 10 catches on 11 targets, 67 yards and a touchdown. Tweaked his ankle a little bit, but he's going to be good to go for Thursday Night Football. Jordan Addison now all of a sudden becomes the hottest name. Like, I doubt he was available in your league, but if he is, you go get him. I think he's going to be the biggest beneficiary to Justin Jefferson being placed on the IR.
I need it.
I agree. I do see the value who's been a solid quarterback, giving you what he's projected as Kirk Cousins. I see his value going down a little bit because having Justin Jefferson on the other end helps a lot. I don't see the same production. I do think Addison's going to have an increased production and it's going to continue, but I don't see that happening for Kirk Cousins. I will be weary of this Minnesota offense without Jefferson, but look at your Hawkinson. I know you're starting him. He's a top tight end. Look at your Addisons. That's where the value is going to go. But losing Jefferson is going to hurt. So that's going to adjust some defenses on how they look at them. Just as you said, Kelce on the other end, 22 points. A hell of a game from Kelce. Rashid Rice, say that right? Yeah, Rashid Rice. 13-point game. I had a gut feeling about him. I almost picked him up in one of my leagues because I was like, I think this kid's going to continue showing some love and getting in the end zone. But he was your receiver one in that team with 13 points, outscoring his projection. The other side of the quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, underscoring his projection. But once again, nothing to worry about. He's Patrick Mahomes. If they don't win by themselves, the refs will help them win. But hey, talking about that injury, it's a serious one, man. It's a serious one. Talk about Mr. Justin Jefferson and all our other big injuries this week.
Yeah, so obviously starting with Justin Jefferson, placed on the IR with that hamstring injury. And this one's really scary. So when they're placed on IR, obviously, they're missing at least 4 games. Then they have the 21-day practice window activated. And you basically see where they're at from there. But this one's scary because Minnesota is a 1-win team right now. And if he misses these next 4 games and they don't win any of them, do they even bother bringing Justin Jefferson back? Do they blow this whole thing up and trade Kirk Cousins for draft picks, sit Justin Jefferson so there's no long-term re-aggravation that comes with it? If there's someone in your league bold enough to buy Justin Jefferson because they're 4-1 right now and they're like, hey, I'll take him off your hands so you could get some immediate points, I think you do it. I'm not 100% convinced he comes back to play. And when he does, there is typically a production hit that follows these hamstring injuries. So Justin Jefferson, not going to have him for 4 weeks at least. And who knows how much longer after that. Another one that you're not going to have for 4 weeks is James Conner, who's been extremely productive for you at your RB2 spot, more than likely, maybe even RB1 if you went 0 RB. But he was placed on IR with a knee injury. Amari DeMarcado is a name that we talked about earlier a little bit. Kevin touched on him. That would be the guy to go get right now that's going to take James Conner's role out the backfield because Keontae Ingram is banged up, who was their original backup to James Conner. Devon Achane is going to get a second opinion on his knee. They're not sure if he's going to go on IR. As of right now, he has not been placed on there. So the second opinion is to see if IR is necessary or what's the next step for him. Our boy Deshaun Watson, this one's tough. He's got the shoulder injury still, and they're already saying that they may start PJ Walker on Sunday if Deshaun Watson can't go. And for it to only be Tuesday, it's only Tuesday, and they're saying that already makes me feel like you're not going to have Deshaun Watson for week 6. So get ready to fire up a backup plan. Travis Kelce, low ankle sprain in the matchup against the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday. He practiced today. They play on a short week against the Denver Broncos. I'd imagine he'd be out there. So just keep a close eye on Travis Kelce, but I don't think there's too much there to worry about. Khalil Herbert, high ankle sprain. Go get Roschon Johnson if he's available. He probably is. I'm sure somebody got impatient and dropped him. But Khalil Herbert, high ankle sprain. It's looking like anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. It depends on the severity. We'll find out more later. Anthony Richardson, severe AC sprain. He's going to miss a chunk of time. He hasn't been placed on IR yet, but it's a very real possibility still. It's looking like you're going to have Gardner Minshew being the quarterback to Michael Pittman and captaining your Jonathan Taylor offense for at least 3 weeks. We'll see if they put him on IR, but a severe AC joint sprain for Anthony Richardson. Dalton Kincaid is in concussion protocol. Dawson Knox, his teammate, also has a wrist injury, so that whole tight end room is banged up. Tank Dell left Sunday's game against the Atlanta Falcons with a concussion. And our boy Jahmyr Gibbs popped up late on the injury report on Friday with a hamstring issue, ended up missing Sunday's game against Carolina. That's another one we're going to be watching closely right now, even though he doesn't have much value left. But that's it. That's the Week 6 injury report. Some big names on there. We're going to get Saquon back this week, but losing Justin Jefferson, James Conner, Devon Achane, after everything that they've done so far this year, it's a pretty big blow to fantasy football.
Oh my. Oh
Yeah.
my. If the injury bug hasn't hit you to this point, you're a very lucky man because, man, it's been a year in fantasy football. Whether you believe you're a fantasy guru or you're just a new guy coming to play fantasy this year, it's a lot to do with luck this year, man, because
that injury bug is out there, dude.
it is.
I think
There's
no way nobody's been not affected by it. Like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super, super tough. And I'm on the other end of the injury bug because I'm getting in my RDL league. I got JT back. Let's see if I'm right or Trav's right about that usage there. I got cut back. I'm getting Deontay Johnson back in week 7. So I'm on the I've gotten to the other end of the injury bug, and I'll let you know how it works out for me if I start to win some games. I wanted to win in those 4 weeks that those players were gone. I wanted to win at least 2 games. I only won 1. Let's see how it continues from here. I have hope.
Yeah.
Let's go into Thursday night football.
Still my heart, you intercepted it. Now you're gonna have to accept it.
Where's Taylor Swift been? I haven't seen her.
Your mom.
Let's talk about Mr. Pfizer and his Kansas City team
Pfizer
playing
boy.
against the fantasy punching bags. Are we gonna have crazy amount of value in this game? Is Pacheco gonna have a 28-point game?
This is Kadarius Toney's 300-yard 4-touchdown game. I think there's no other way around.
Oh man,
No.
I hate that.
I mean,
I hate that offense.
they are going against the fantasy punching bags right now, the Denver Broncos. Which one?
No, I just KC's
What
is like
offense?
a lotto. Like, you don't know the KC's because a lotto. It's a lotto.
Yeah, you don't know
You
who's going to get the love.
you
Yeah.
don't know who's gonna get
But,
the love.
I mean, one thing that's for sure is Travis Kelce is. That's all we know. And
Yeah,
Isaiah
yeah.
Pacheco is going to keep dominating the carries. And Patrick Mahomes may have a 3 touchdown night, maybe even a 4 touchdown night.
To who?
I'm just really interested to that's the thing, right? To who? We
To
never know.
himself.
I'm just really
He's gonna make
interested
it
to
happen.
see
You're interested to see what?
Jaleel McLaughlin's usage if it continues,
Yeah.
because at this point the kid's almost undeniable. You can't keep him off the field. So really interested to see how Denver's offense pans out in this one.
Does Javonte Williams come back this week?
More than likely, they said he could have played against the Jets this week, but they held him back just to not overdo it. But it's also a short week, so maybe they're like, "Hey, it's a short week, might as well hold you back again." So who knows?
My
We'll
team
see.
needs help. That's the only reason I say it.
Yeah, the last update of Javonte Williams is today. He had a full practice, so I expect him to be on the field. But excellent point from Trav. Jaleel McLaughlin, once again, he played a Jets defense who was unable to stop the run, but he did look good. Sorry to say anything looks good about that Denver team, but he did look good running the ball. Jerry Jeudy may be on the move, so that's interesting to look at and what's going to happen there. These trade talks about him, but yeah, this is going to be weird. I think your fantasy value in this game, it's a little bit of a trap because Kansas City has been weird with their fantasy points. It's usually going to one person. Kind of like what happened with the Jets against Denver. Our fantasy value was what Brees. That's it. We didn't see everybody go off. It was just with Brees because that's where they were able to get the love. I think you're going to see the same thing with this Kansas City game. Mahomes is going to get a lot of love, and it has to be Kelsey. Kelsey's just going to have a freaking field day against this Denver offense. But Checo is going to be there getting his love as well because he's been looking good throughout these weeks, as Bruce pointed out very wisely. Yeah, man. I don't want to talk about this game too much. It's Denver. So right here, your fantasy value is either, I'm sorry, Bruce, it's either McLaughlin or Kansas City's offense. I don't see any other fantasy value there.
Yeah, no.
And I'm sorry because I know you want Javonte Williams to snap, but I think...
No. I want McLaughlin, dude. I picked him up. I picked him up. I need that.
Oh, in that case, let's get McLaughlin the ball.
Yeah, I need that love.
The one thing working in Denver's favor is game script. They might be out of this one so early that Russell Wilson has no choice but to throw like 45, 50 passes, insert Jerry Jeudy, insert Cortland Sutton. So we'll see how this one plays out.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I don't like anything about this Denver team. I made my claim on them earlier in the year of being a punching bag. When 70 points was put on them by a good Dolphins team, but still 70 points is insane. When that happened, I was like, there's no way that this team wins a lot of games or stops any of my fantasy players that are playing them from getting points. Yeah, man. Bad team. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our outlook for Thursday night football. Next week, we're going to try to get another RDL manager in here. We're in the talks with Mr. Kyle, see if he can have time for us. He checked his planner and it said nothing was going on either of the days. So hopefully he is here for us for our week 6 preview, giving us his factors, his actors, his buys, his sells, and let's see if he can keep up because Mike had a hell of a week giving us some really good ones. Everybody hit it on the nose. Another week, man. If you're not listening to us now, if you haven't been listening to us now and you haven't been picking up on what we've been putting down and our factors telling us to start these guys and who to pick up on the waiver wires, I say you got to do it now. You got to listen to us. You got to go ahead and take the chance on this RDL podcast. We love doing it. We love the support that we're getting from you. Gentlemen, anything else you want to go over before we leave?
No, just keep showing us love. We greatly appreciate it. We're trying to give you everything we got. We're having a lot of fun doing it. So let's just keep on enjoying football together all year.
Yep. And just wish me luck. I played the number 1 guy this week.
Yeah, man. Your team doesn't look good this week, man. Sorry.
Huh?
Your team doesn't look good. I mean, he has a lot of injuries. You better hope that
he had a lot of injuries and he still got a starting team. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, opinions. Everybody has them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the RDL podcast. We'll see you back on Friday. We're going to record Friday. If we get it out Friday, awesome. If not, you'll see it Saturday morning. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
If you looking for the truth, then I'm the real deal. If you looking for the truth, then I'm the real deal. Shout out to the crew and they get real. Find me with the crew, nigga, real deal. You not on the team, boy, you on the bench. You not in my league, how I'm on your neck. Hey, I heard you working out, please don't hurt yourself. My pockets by the flex, your pockets gotta stretch. Okay, don't talk too much and Bruce go at your chest. I just told Feebz to let